This video is the second part of our introduction to fractions. We have 4 questions here. Now notice that we've skipped question 9. We realised during it was a bit of a stupid question. Now the times are in red, so feel free to skip to the question you're after. Question 6 looks at fractions again, so we're going to be adding and subtracting some fractions, but this time you see the numbers in a bit of a different form. You've got a big number out the front and you've got a fraction next to it. So I'm just going to quickly explain now what this actually means. And I'm going to use this first one as an example. We've got big number of 2 and then a third after it. Now I'm going to use the example of birthday cakes to explain this. So it's just my birthday last weekend, and I had cakes with all my friends. Okay, now my mum likes to cut my cakes into thirds. Now after everyone had eaten, we happened to have 2 full cakes left over and also 1 piece. And 1 piece is a third of a cake. Okay, so I've drawn this here. We've got our 2 full cakes and we have a third of a cake. So this is what this represents. We've got 2 full numbers and we have a third of a number, a third left. Okay, so now the goal of this is to change this form into a form that we've seen in question 4 and 5, just a numerator and a denominator. So we've got a third. We need to find out how many thirds we have in total. Well, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So instead of writing it as 2 and a third, we can actually write it as 7 thirds. Now, I'll give you a trick of how to find it very quickly without actually drawing birthday cakes. What if I just went this little number on the bottom times the big number, so 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1. There's my trick for the day. So you times there, and then you add there. It's a bit of bad writing, but we'll get some examples. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, I'll rub that out. So now I've gone 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Then I keep the number the same on the bottom. Now 4 times 6 is 24, plus 1 is 25. There we go. Now it's in a form that we saw in question 4. Now we can add these fractions. Golden rule again. You need to get the denominator the same. Well, highest common factor with 3 and 6 is 6. So I'm going to times this by 2 to turn 3 into 6. I'm also going to times the top by 2. Whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So I'm going to write that as 14 over 6 plus 25 over 6. And that will equal 25 plus 14 is 39 over 6. Okay? Now, have we finished there? Well, we need to get it into its simplest form, okay? This is where it turns a bit tricky. We need to find the highest common factor in these 2 numbers. Well, let's go straight. I'm going to have a guess and say that 3 is the highest common factor because 3 goes into 6 and 3 also goes into 39. How many times? It goes in 13 times, okay? So now that will equal then, divide the top by 3. And divide the bottom by 3. There we go. There's our answer in simplest form, 13 over 2. That was a little bit confusing. Let's go to the second example now to really reiterate this. So I need to turn these into just fraction form. 2 times 6 is 12, plus 1 is 13. Minus 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11. Now I can have to go ahead and make these denominators the same. Well, the 2 goes into 4 and 4 goes into 4, so I'm just going to times this one by 2, top and bottom. So it'll be 26 over 4 minus 11 over 4. Now the denominators are the same, that's great. I can go ahead and subtract the top. 26 minus 11 is 15. Now, is that in simplest form? Well, 2 goes into 4 but doesn't go into 15. 4, yep, I think it is. There we go, that's our answer. Question 7. Now we've advanced on now past addition and subtraction of fractions, and now we're going to look at multiplying fractions. Well, I've got some good news for you here. It is way easier, alright, than addition and subtraction. It actually goes pretty simple. So the golden rule for these is times or multiply top and bottom. I've got ugly handwriting, don't I? There we go. So what does this mean? Well, let's have a look. The top, you times the top, 3 times 1 is 3, times the bottom, 5 times 4 is 20. There we go. How easy is that? Now, is that in simplest form? Always check that. Well, this one is. Okay, let's have a look at the next two. 6 times 7, 42, over 5 times 5 is 25. Now, is that in simplest form? Well, 3 doesn't... No, I think we're good there. That's in simplest form. Let's have a look at the last one here. You've got 12 times 5 is 60, over 10 times 16 is 160. Now, this one isn't in simplest form. We can pretty much see straight away because 10 goes into 60 and 10 goes into 160 because you have a 0 on the end. Now, is that the highest common factor? Well, I'm not too sure, but to be honest, if you find a factor, that's fine. Go ahead and do that, and then you can then work again later on, find another highest common factor. I think I showed that in maybe question 3. So let's just go and use equals 10. So divide top and bottom by this highest common factor. This is to turn into simplest form. So 60 divided by 10 equals 6. 160 divided by 10 is 16. Now, this isn't in simplest form because 2 goes into both. Okay? Let's just write, so I'm going to highest common factor equals 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. 16 divided by 2 is 8. There we go. We've now got our answer in simplest form. Question 8. Now, we've done a lot of fractions, and now we've reached the last point. We've done addition, we've done subtraction, we've done multiplication. We're now at division. Now, good news again, this is pretty easy as well, just like multiplication. I'm a big fan of multiplying and dividing fractions. They're a lot easier than they look. Now, the big hint for this one is it's exactly the same as multiplication, except you need to do one thing first. I'm going to use my star up here. Flip the second fraction. Now, I wrote second here. You have to flip the second. You can't flip the first, otherwise you're going to be incorrect. Now, what does this mean? Flipping the second fraction will go 2 over 9, and flipping the second one will now be 5 over 3. Now, what this does, instead of writing divide, you can now write a times. That's what flipping the fraction does. Now, similar to question 7, or exactly like question 7, we can now times top and bottom. 2 times 5 is 10. 9 times 3 is 27. And there's our answer. Now, is that in simplest form? Well, 2 doesn't go into... Yep, I think that's in simplest form. There we go. Okay, second one. I'm going to write the first fraction again because you don't flip that one. I can write a times sign now, and I'll flip the first. The second, sorry. There we go. Now I can go ahead and multiply top and bottom. 5 over 6. Now, is that in simplest form? Well, yes, that is in simplest form. There we go. This is pretty easy, isn't it? Let's have a look at the last one. 6 over 5, 6 over 5, sorry. 6 over 5 times, flip the second fraction. Now I can go ahead and multiply top and bottom. Okay, now one would tell me that I'm probably not in simplest form here because I know that 5 is going to go into both of them because 5 goes into 45 9 times and 5 goes into 60 12 times. So, highest common factor, can I see that? Yep, equals 5. So, Now 60 divided by 5 is 12, over 45 divided by 5 is 9. Now, see again, I went and chose a highest common factor of 5, which was fine, but it's still not in simplest form. We've got 12 over 9, and I know that 3 goes into 12 and 9, so it's still not in the simplest form. So I've now got a highest common factor of 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4, and 9 divided by 3 is 3. So our final answer to this one is 4 on 3. Alrighty, question 10. Last question of this video. It's a bit of a bonus question. Now it uses what we've learnt in questions 8 and 9 and 7 of dividing and timesing fractions. Now, this also relies on what we learned in previous videos about BOMDAS. Now, what the hell does BOMDAS mean again? That is the order of operation. So, you've got brackets of multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. Now, what that means in English is which sign do you do first? We do brackets first, and then you do multiplication and division second, and then you do addition and subtraction third. Now, remember what we said, these two are equal. So if you have a multiplication and a division sign, you do it left to right. Okay? Just because multiplication is written on the left, it's a bit confusing. These two are actually equal in power, let's say, or in, I don't know, ferocity. Okay? So now we've got 3 over 7 divided by 9 over 2 times 14 over 6. So we need to do this one first, because it's left to right. 3 over 7 divided by 9 on 2. And remember, how we did that is flipping the second and changing this to a time sign. So I'm now going to write this as 3 on 7 times 2 on 9. Now I can go on and do this because I can just write that there for now. So now I've got some... Now, here's why I can do this. They're all times. Now previously we only had two fractions. We had, say, 1 over 2 times, let's say, 3 over 4, and you times the top, times the bottom to get 3 over 8. But with 3, you just times all of them. So these are quite big numbers, so I'll pull the graphics calculator out. So we've got 3 times 2 times 14. This is for the top line to get 84. And the bottom line will be 7 times 9 times 6, 378. Okay? And there's our answer for question 10. Now, is it in its simplest form though? This is a bit of a big question. You can stop there, this is the final answer, but I will go on and find simplest form. I'll do this a bit of a lazy way. I'm going to use 2 first. 2 goes into 84 and 2 also goes into 378. So how many times does 2 go into 84? 42 times. So I'm going to draw a little arrow up here. So instead of writing 84 on 378, I can write it as 42 divided by, well, 378 divided by 2 is 189. Okay. So am I in its simplest form now? Well, I've got a feeling that 3 goes into 42 and 189. Let's just confirm that. So you've got 42 divided by 3 equals 14. And let's check the other one. Yeah, 63. So I'm still not in simplest form. 14 on 63. Now let's have a look at this one here. I've got a feeling that 7 will go into both of these two. 7 definitely goes into 14. Let's check for 63. 63 divided by 7. Oh, there we go. Beautiful. We've got 2 over 9. There we go. We finally got there. So our answer to this question in simplest form will be 2 over 9.